Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good. I trust
How
your
are
day
you
has been
doing?
great. Absolutely great. Thanks for asking. And please, how are things at your end as well?
Good.
Good. Could you kindly confirm if I'm very audible?
Very, very audible.
Thank you. And so we'll begin in about 4 minutes. Kindly bear with me. That's the time to start.
No problems.
Okay. So it's just about time. And so I'll give them about 5 minutes and hopefully the participants will start trooping in now.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Let's
Okay,
give
sir.
them a little time here.
Hello there all.
Say that again.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, I'm fine by my side.
Sorry, I didn't quite get that.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm fine by my side.
Great, great, great. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe we wait for people to join more.
Right. I think it's two. So hopefully 5 minutes should be enough. We get a lot more people in.
All right, all right.
Recording in
Hello to those that just joined. We agreed to give about 5 minutes for participants to join in, and then we could kickstart. Okay. Just about a minute more. Okay. Right. So I guess we could start, and then we'll get the others to join in with time. Okay. So we'd simply go straight away and start. I can see the numbers are increasing. Probably we could just start straight away.
We can see you are awake. The topic.
Okay. Richard, could you kindly mute yourself?
Oh, it's almost time then.
Hello, Richard.
Hello.
Could you kindly mute yourself?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. So we'll start off shortly with a word of prayer. So I would invite Kokucha if you can lead a word of prayer for us, so we kickstart things.
Sam, are you there? Can you hear me?
Could you kindly say a word of prayer for us to start?
Oh, okay, all right. So, Father Lord, we thank you for today and that opportunity to start this webinar, and then we pray that whatever we are going to discuss, the idea that we are going to share today should be useful. So the purpose of the meeting should come successfully. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray, amen. Over to you.
Thank you for that. So I'll share my. Yeah, thank you. Could participants kindly confirm if they're able to hear me clearly? Want to be sure if you could just put that in the chat box if you're able to hear me clearly. Great. So that's one Aisha. Two more than I could probably proceed. That's two. Great. That's fine. So let's kickstart things. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first in the series of the Let's Talk Energy series of the Student Energy KNUST chapter. I'll quickly walk us through today's session, the lineup of events, so we could follow through and have a reasonable expectation. as regards what would be happening. So for the first 15 minutes, we were to onboard, welcome one another, welcome everyone on which is what we've done, and then say a word of prayer. That's something we've also addressed. And so I would simply ask, just in a minute, I would simply ask that if you could kindly just share your name and probably your area of interest, what you're probably studying for the students, what you're studying, so it could help the panelists have an indication of the wide pool of people around. And also, I know that we have people joining us from some Francophone brothers are joining us. So if you could also put your university there to enable the panelists appreciate the wide pool of people that are on the course. So if you could kindly just put your name, your program of study, and probably your country or your university. Can you put that in the chat box, and we'll be grateful. Right. So having said that, so 1 minute, and then we move on to the next side. Okay. So for those that just joined in, kindly follow the format. Just simply your name, your program of study for the students, and your country, right? Your name, your program of study, and your country for the students. Great. Excellent. So the next session, we'll talk with the first 15 minutes. That's the welcome session. We'll move into the panelist section, and would have a panel session where we'd be able to engage a resource personnel, the panelists, on areas of expertise, and ask them the questions that the participants said they would want to know more about. So we'll put that before them, and then they will help us, give us insights on that. For some of us are worried about career prospects and all that. Hopefully we get it to be addressed. And after that, then we will simply do a wrap up and conclude with it. So that's how it's going to be. So we'll move in straight to the panel session. Simply move straight to the panel session, and I want to confirm if they confirm by the name, if the panelists are available. So simply want to confirm by the name. If Mrs. Dorcas Otis Koro, please, do we have you on board? Okay. Can you see Sir Mr. Patrick Chidozi Izenachi? Do we have you on board, please?
Yes, I am.
Great.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Excellent, sir. And
Greetings.
good afternoon, sir. And if you could confirm Mrs. or Madam Obianuchu Isichili, hope I got the name right. Could you kindly confirm if you're on the call with us as well?
Yeah, I am. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Thank you. And finally, Mrs. Dorcas Otis Koro, could you kindly confirm if you're on the call with us as well? Okay. Right. That's fine. Probably should join in.
Are you, sorry, was I being spoken
Yes.
to, or was
Okay.
Andrew?
Sorry, I just wanted to confirm if you're on the call with us.
Oh, yes, I am. Good
Yes,
afternoon.
please. That's fine.
I am.
Good afternoon. Thank you. And so thank you, Ma. So we'll move move straight, for the purposes of this, we'll move straight into the panel discussion session. It will be in three forms. We'll have the technical aspect of the industry. So again, I'll draw attention to the fact that today's session is to address the theme, the 21st century energy industry, the status quo, challenges, and the prospects. What does the status quo look like? What are the challenges that we are faced with or grappling with? And what are the prospects ahead for us? So that's the theme of today's session. And we'll tackle that in three parts. The first would be the technical side of the petroleum industry. Then we'll have a look at petroleum economics, and then we'll look at what some may say is an enemy to the petroleum industry, the green energy aspect as well. We'll cover that and look at the theme based on that. So let's zoom in straight to that. And what will happen is that we'll ask the panel questions after we are through with the panel discussions, and then we'll leave the floor open for the audience to also ask their questions, maybe one or two, and then we'll take it home from there. All right. So I'll move straight to the profile of the panelists that we have around here. I mean, lots of experience that we have with the panelists here. So I'll start off with just a second, please. Yes. So I'll start off with Mrs. Obianuju Isichili. And she's a data-driven and hybrid engineer
Sorry,
who
it's
has
Miss. Sorry to
Miss, sorry.
interrupt. Just needed to correct that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that, madam. Miss Obianuju, I got that correct now. Thank you.
Yes, you did.
So she's a data-driven, quite a stack profile here. She's a data-driven and hybrid engineer who has honed her skills in completions and drilling engineering, petroleum economics, project management, business analytics, and business development. She was the assistant technical project coordinator at Pegis Global and is presently a field engineer with Baker Hughes. She describes herself as being persistent because she thinks of her efforts as an engineer as that of a craftsman who puts so much dedication into making beautiful furniture, as it takes years of the success of her team represents her of purpose, leadership, and entrepreneurship network. And she'll be helping us with the petroleum economic side. Ma. Thank you. So I'll move on to the Cedric Chidozie Izenachi, and he is a certified solar system engineer. He's a great entrepreneur, an quality and safety champion. He's a quality at Azikiwe University, and he loves to use energy problems. And he'll be helping us with the green energy.
You're welcome.
Great. Thank you, sir. And finally, out. Great, thank you. So finally, I would move. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Finally, I'll move on to Mrs. Doka Zotis-Koro. Also very stacked profile there. So she is a Christian who is enthusiastic and committed to adding value to the world at large through small units or teams, taking one step at a time while aspiring for the peak heights in her career. She's a graduate of petroleum engineering who possesses a distinction in Masters of Technology in Petroleum Engineering from the Rivers State University, and currently pursuing a PhD in petroleum engineering on alternate, clean, and sustainable energy. alternate clean and sustainable energy. Sorry, could you kindly confirm if you're able to hear me, please?
We can
Yes.
we can hear you.
Okay, so I'll go on. She started off her professional career as a personal or lecturing assistant, a graduate assistant to Professor E.N. Wami. Her zeal for knowledge, research, and problem-solving skills promoted her to being his research assistant as her undergraduate project. Which is the design of a floating roof crude oil storage tank of 100,000 barrels per day capacity, attracted the TET Fund Research Grant, a project established in Taraba State University. She is passionate about volunteerism, skilled in project management, basic Python, machine learning, artificial intelligence, coding and programming, Microsoft Word, Excel, Pisces Petran, humble leadership, eloquent professional communications, which further promoted her while still holding other positions to being a project management assistant to Professor Ian Wami for the establishment of the world-class Pacesetter University. And to what she'll be handling for today's session. She's a drilling fluid specialist with over 7 years academic and less years field experience, and has been involved in several energy-related projects, researches, and has over 8 publications, both in international, local, and professional journals. She's the second runner-up of the SPE HCYP Maiden Entrepreneurship or Business Idea Contest, and as a result, bid for the DEJWEW Nigeria Limited, a startup company involved in researches, especially waste to wealth and or energy, of which she is the CEO. She's one of the top 5 qualified applicants of the Maiden SPE PHC YP scholarship program, and coupled with her passion for entrepreneurship, spurred her into bagging a mini MBA with Tekedia Institute. And finally, she is currently the YP chairperson and an active YP of SPE Section 103 PHC, who loves to network and volunteer. Her present vision is to attain the highest height in her career, both in the energy industry and academic world, where there are tough dynamic challenges with a team, as she is a good team player, impactful, insightful, and has moral values to the world around her, and being a role model and a source of inspiration to every human, mostly the girl child within the energy career parts. That's quite a lengthy one. Thanks a lot for joining us again, Ma.
Exactly, a very lengthy one. I was hoping you were going to summarize it or something. Anyways, thank you.
Oh,
Thank you for
great.
having me here.
Great. So then, I mean, that helps us to know that the variety of people that we have, the level of the resource, the panelists that we have. So for the audience, I'd ask that participants, I'd ask that you put down your questions as and when they proceed. And once we are through, you would be able to ask them your questions. So we'll zoom in straight to the panel discussion, and there'll be 5 questions that I'll put across. We'll take 10. So I would ask Mrs. Dorcas Otis-Koro, I'd ask a question, then I'll move on to Engineer Patrick Chidozie, and then I'll move on to Ms. Obianuchu Isichili. Are we fine? Right. So let's start off. With you, Mrs. Dorcas Otis-Koro. Could you help us with, just give us an overview, first set of questions, an overview of the technical side of the petroleum industry, and what are some of the careers one could pursue in the technical side of the petroleum industry?
Okay, hi everybody once again. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for the opportunity to share the knowledge. All right, so first of all, when we're talking about technical, we need to understand what technical is about, right? Technical is a special skill, right? It's applicable to one particular area of something, okay? So speaking, I won't call speaking a technical skill or a technical aspect of something, because everybody has to talk. Communication has to take place, right? But when I have to use terms like drill bits, drilling fluid, or nipples and casing. Now that is technical because it is only applicable to petroleum industry. So we need to understand that technicality has to do with area of specialty or something special applicable to one particular area. Okay, and most time it has to do with scientific things, practical things, something associated with mathematics, and all of that stuff, okay? So when you say the technical aspect of the industry, we're talking about number one, the technologies, as in the tools, the mechanical tools, the instruments, the equipment that are being used in this energy industry. We know we have different forms of energy, from nuclear to hydro to petroleum, which is oil and gas, to solar and all of them. So when you talk about equipments that are being used in these particular areas, or softwares, all right, or machines that are being used, you're talking about the technical aspect of the energy industry. So yeah, some of the careers that can be chased or that can be acquired or that should be acquired in the energy industry are your programming languages. I can't think of any energy space that you don't use programming language, because it makes work easier and more efficient. You need the programming language for practically almost anything you do. Even in the art world, you need it. So that's one of the careers somebody can chase, especially now it's very lucrative. Another aspect would be the IT aspect. That is information technology aspect that has to do with network, calls, and all that, communications and all that stuff. So yeah, so those are just a few of the careers. There are a lot of them. We'll talk more about it as we go on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ma, for that. That's grateful for that. Technical parts of it, just an overview. That's a great one. And so I'll move on to Mr. Bianuchu. Could you kindly help us with an overview of what petroleum economics entails and some of the careers that we could pursue in petroleum economics as students?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Please confirm you can hear me properly.
Yes, please. You're loud and clear.
All right, so petroleum economics is quite ambiguous because a lot of people seem to think that it has to do mostly with forecasting oil and gas supply and demand, or you're probably estimating the country's resilience to oil prices, or it's all about the oil trade. While this may have some form of truth to it, but it's really nothing of the sort. The job of a petroleum economist is to determine whether his or her company should grow richer or poorer by investing their money in something. So for instance, if a company is to invest in an exploratory well or a wildcat well, an exploratory well, meaning a well that has not had any evidential proof of hydrocarbon in it, and then probably through some seismic survey, some form of hydrocarbon is detected and they want to explore that option. So that's what I mean by exploratory well. So if a company is going to invest, of course, you know that this particular project involves a whole lot of money, probably running in millions of dollars. So if a company is going to invest that much in something that they don't even know if they're going to find anything, they would need an economist to know whether, okay, should we do this or shouldn't we do this? If we do this, are we going to get richer if we see hydrocarbon and if we see it in a commercial quantity? Or if we do this, are we going to meet a dry hole and as a result get poorer? So before a company does this, they bring in a petroleum economist, and of course they don't work alone, they work with reservoir engineers and others. So they say the job of a petroleum economist is very important because it has to do a lot with cash flow, how money is coming in and out of a company and a project, quote unquote. So that's basically the whole thing about petroleum economics, cash flow, how money is coming in and how money is going out of a company. Talking about cash flow models, discounted flow cash flows, So then over to your next question that had to do with careers that one could actually indulge in to become a petroleum economist. Well, first of all, I would say you have to be a petroleum economist. You should have some form of knowledge in petroleum engineering or the energy business, basically. The truth is, most petroleum economists actually evolve from being a petroleum engineer, probably a reservoir engineer, a drilling engineer, a production engineer, but you must have garnered some years of experience in the oil and gas industry for you to become a petroleum economics. And once you could also be a petroleum engineer and then go further to get a master's in petroleum economics, and which can also qualify you to be an economist. You could be a commercial analyst. That is after you've studied petroleum economics in school. You could even be an energy and business consultant. You could be a project manager, a strategy analyst, or oil and gas associate, or better still, a petroleum economist. So the prospect is very wide. Then it all determines what you want to do with what you have at hand. So that's all I'll say for now. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for that. That was insightful. That was insightful. It's petroleum economics is very broad. It's broader than I really thought. Thank you for that. Engineer Patrick, could you please help us out with an overview of the green energy? What green energy really is? What does it entail? And what are the careers that one could pursue? And who really is a green entrepreneur? Who is a green entrepreneur as well? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Please confirm that you can hear me. Hello, everyone. Confirm that
Yes.
you can hear me.
Yes, please. I'm able to hear you, but there's some bit of a break in feedback.
Okay, please confirm. Let's set it out. All right. Hello. Are you there?
Yes, please.
Okay, so let me go ahead. Good afternoon, everybody. So,
Hello, Engineer Patrick.
okay, so if you can't hear me, let me go ahead. So a green entrepreneur. Yes. Can you hear me? Confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, it's better now. It's better now. Or if the participants
Can
on
you hear me?
the call could confirm if they're able to hear him clearly.
Yes, we are able to hear him.
Great. Please go on, sir.
Okay. Okay, that's good. So a green entrepreneur is someone who profiles innovate to help combat climate action and solve energy problems and promote social change to change the environment, which is already harmed. All right. So a green energy person comes through with innovative ideas and to end energy poverty. It doesn't completely rely on the efforts Mrs. Dorcas put in out there to produce oil and gas or energy. Relies completely on nature, right? To provide sustainable energy for the industry, for everybody. So in this era of energy crisis and energy transition, a green energy person or a green entrepreneur is so highly needed. The skills that this person should possess are countless, or you have to be creative, you have to be innovative, you have to be entrepreneur. For instance, right now, the energy industry is transitioning from fossil to non-fossil. That means we rely on alternative sources of energy, such as solar, such as wind, such as biomass. All right. So here in Africa, we have abundant natural resources, which is so green. You know, you have investors from overseas coming down to Africa to research, to invest on our green energy resources. You have industries transit from fossil fuel to non-fossil fuel, utilizing solar systems, utilizing biomass to solve energy problems. But meanwhile, we've been relying on fossil, which is, not so good. 17 Sustainable Development Goal. But right now, United Nations has mandated us to work around SDG 7, which is all about harnessing clean energy. And that clean energy they're referring to is green energy, full energy. You cannot run short of it. All right. So for you to be an entrepreneur, you have to think out of the box. You have to be innovative. You have to know how to profile alternative energy solutions. And the people living in Ghana, I know you guys are also suffering from plastic waste menace. So as a green enterprise, think towards converting that waste to wealth by working with the 12th sustainable goal, which is all about responsible consumption and production. All right. How do we reduce this waste? How do we reuse this waste? And how do we recycle it, just to help end energy poverty and work in line with parliaments to achieve that net zero goal for each of us to start living sustainably? So basically, a green enterprise should help to provide solutions to environmental problems. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Engineer Patrick. Provide solutions.
Are you there?
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Great. Thanks a lot for that. Green solutions.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Environmental problems. Thank you for that. Mrs. Dorcas Otaskoro is currently not with us. She would be away for some time, and so we'll move on to Ms. Obianuchu. And the second question would be, what are some of the challenges that are faced by petroleum economists in their line of work, and what are some of the solutions that are being used currently in industry to address some of these challenges?
Okay, thank you very much. Challenges are persistent everywhere. They're prevalent in every industry. And basically, the challenge of petroleum, or the numerous challenges that is global. It's not distinguished to one person. It's not distinguished to just the petroleum economist. It's something that every other person, every other professional in the oil and gas industry might face. Every professional that is looking to make money or economic point of view of the industry, they would also face these challenges. And one of them, of course, we all know, it's global imbalance. Now, it's very tedious enough for petroleum economists to try to predict cash flow and advise a company. And mind you, the job of a petroleum economist is mostly in the upstream sector of the oil and gas industry. Of course, you know that the oil and gas industry is divided into three. We have the upstream, the midstream, and the downstream, where the upstream is all about exploration and production. So and that's where a lot of money is actually involved, and you know that petroleum economics are mostly needed in the upstream sector. And imagine the difficulty in trying to predict whether a company or a department or a project to spend a huge amount of money on a project, and then you're also faced with global imbalance in the sense that the companies, the countries, or the world's currency is very volatile. The oil and gas industry, as you know, also is volatile. The oil price situation is not definite. So if you're making a prediction today, tomorrow, something might incite or obscure the global economic balance. So global imbalance is an issue, because then you make, and that is why one of the most important, I'll come to that later, but one of the most important trend where this industry or this career path is going into is the use of artificial intelligence to better predict or to better come up with good advice, good decision analysis models that would help companies make better monetary decisions, better economic decisions. So with the ongoing global imbalance, it's an issue. We also have the rise of new powers. Of course, you know that there are new powers like China could be the leading power today and the US tomorrow. And all this rise of new powers creates such a very huge economic imbalance or economic uproar, such that one country can determine the fate of a whole lot of countries. And a very huge oil magnet in a particular country could determine the fate of the others. So a country that is a member of OPEC could determine the fate of the other countries. So if OPEC says we're selling at this rate, the other countries might not have a choice. So rise of new power is an issue. We have global corporations now. Global corporations in the sense that if you're in Ghana, Ghana citizens might have a company named, or the Ghana government might have a company, Ghana Oil Corporation. And of course, you're dealing with national policies, national government, fiscal policy and economic policy and all that. So you may not have to deal with a lot of global issues as regards the decision made within that company. But if a company like BP is in Nigeria, or a company like Total is in Nigeria, it's a global country, so to speak. So most of the decisions that will be made would affect the company, not just on a national scale, but on a global scale. And you might be in Ghana being like, okay, this shouldn't affect us, but then because it's a global company, it tends to affect you. So because all these things have an impact to play in the decisions that the petroleum economics would have to take, it therefore becomes a challenge to them to make these decisions. And of course, the world is going into a place where these decisions eventually will be easier to make. So for now, these are the challenges. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for that. That's a lot. The volatility in itself is a lot, and it's good to know that the technology such as AI is being infused into petroleum economics to help make more informed, better informed decisions. Thanks a lot for that, Ms. Bianuchu. Engineer Patrick, I'd move to you and ask, what are some of the challenges in the green energy industry at the moment, and what are some of the solutions being used to address these challenges?
Okay, so there are benefits and drawbacks of renewable energy, right? Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, that's good. So green energy or renewable energy resource is inherently intermittent, right? There is a low energy density of renewable resources or green energy. There can also be high initial capital cost with large-scale renewable energy. And some of these renewable energy technologies, such as hydro and wind, they can also have significant environmental consequence. For instance, using wind turbine as a case study, you have the wind system offshore, right, rotating at a very high speed. And you have birds flying, you have, this system can actually affect the life of those seabirds. It affects them, and it has this environment is not so good. Can also have the benefit, renewable energy resources are distributed. No implications of final running out because it's renewable as the fossil fuel. Renewable energy pollution free or green energy, they are pollution free. Environmental is why United Nations clamoring for sustainability, we providing sustainable energy, unlike the fossil fuel, which uses CO2. Okay, so these are some of the benefits, and for green energy, it comes from sources that can fulfill our current energy needs without compromising future generations. That's the health benefit, that's the environmental benefits. And I've given you instance solar, I've given you instance hydro, I've given you instance of wind. All these they are mentally okay, environmentally friendly. With this green energy, you can achieve that net zero goal, which goes in line with Paris agreements. Also, its collection and distribution, it must be efficiently acquired, and in order to be sustainable. Okay, so renewable energy or green energy comes from that natural source that renew themselves at a rate allows us to enjoy. If you are working with if you are a solar system person, country is reliant on solar system, just as early as 7 or 8 in the have your sunlight. It charges your morning. So you are totally in charge of the ability of renewables and fossil, they can have environmental benefits. What again? Carbon, it's carbon free. Okay. Can you hear me? Can you
Yes,
hear
sir.
me? I just want to be sure that you guys can hear me. Okay, so when you walk around green energy, it reduces energy dependence on fossil fuel. It's an inexhaustible source of energy. So that's basically it. But the most drawback we have right now is we need to create more awareness on the usage of renewables. People have gotten so used to fossil fuel, making transitioning journey very difficult due to government's policies. All right, so to me, it's a decade of action. Regardless of all those challenges, we the youths, we the young professionals, we already know the health benefits. So whatever challenge that we are encountering, the onus is still on us to help provide that innovative solution that would help combat climate action so that all of us will live long, so that we will, start living sustainably. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for that. Thanks a lot for that, sir. Lots of benefits, also have some drawbacks. There's a need to balance that. That's what I get from what you say. Thanks a lot for that. Great. Thankfully, Mrs. Dorcas Otiskoro is with us again. So I'd quickly put the question through to her. Aside from sand and from the petroleum industry, aside from sand and water production, what are some of the challenges that are faced by professionals in the technical side? And what are some of the solutions that are being used to address these challenges? Hello, Mrs. Dorcas Otiskoro.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, great.
Yes, please come back again.
Okay.
My next break.
Okay, great. So the question is, thank you. The question is, aside from sand and water production, that's for the technical side of the petroleum industry, what are some of the challenges that are faced by professionals, and what are some of the solutions that industry is using or industry uses to remedy these challenges?
Several challenges, honestly. It has to do with which aspect of that petroleum industry are you dealing with, okay? Because if you're dealing with the reservoir aspect, say reservoir estimation and evaluation and all that, you could be faced with the challenge of having water coning in that reservoir. So definitely you're going to be producing that crude or that petroleum with water, okay? Because you can't stop water, like saying they used to say that water no gets enemy. So you can't stop it, you can't prevent it from flowing where it wants to flow. Now, when you come to the aspect of drilling, you could encounter fractured areas or fractured formations where you end up losing fluid, both the formation fluid to those fractured areas or losing the drilling fluid to those areas. So that's another challenge. Then now when you come to production, okay, when you also come to completions, you can also face the technical challenge of installation of equipment. You could have cases where the well is well estimated, everything seems to work perfectly fine, and then you go to install your casing, and then you have a problem of losing that casing or control of it, where you now have to start worrying about fishing operation. But then now when you come to production that you mentioned specifically, outside water and sand, you can also be producing salt. If you were drilling through a salty formation that was not properly cased or properly cemented for those salts not to escape through, and they didn't find any way to escape to the production facility, good for you. But if for some reason it happens, you might be producing salt alongside. So that brings you to the challenge of separation techniques, which will, of course, result in the challenge of extra expenses and extra costs. The employing of specialists who will be able to handle these things, which if for some reason you can't find them or they are scarce, it's going to be a big challenge for you, right? Another thing also is production of impurities. Salt is also considered as an impurity, but outside salt, you also have your acids and sulfur, or especially when you're drilling through you say, oh, this is an oil well, and you start producing gas, high quantity or high amount of gas alongside that oil well, it's also a challenge, because then also you all either need to build they call it immediate storage facility at the wellhead, where you'll be able to channel this gas to gas storage facilities and then oil storage facilities before the processing, right? But in a situation where you don't have that and you're producing the both of them together, like I said, of course, normally when you produce petroleum, it's always a composition of water, oil, and gas, but it's normally of more of oil, okay? So in a situation where you're now producing the same quantity of gas with the same quantity of oil, and you say this is an oil well, it's a very serious challenge, because then also again, it will take you to the stress of separation techniques, trying to make sure you separate this petroleum oil, the crude, from the gas content, okay? And then of course, like we said, to sulfur and any of those impurities that will come up with the gas is not, it's going to make your crude, we have what we call sweet crude and sour crude, or sweet gas and sour gas. So what normally makes it sour is those impurities in it. So aside water and sand, impurity is one of them. Salt is one of them, okay? And if for some reason you encounter microbes during production and those microbes are friendly, crude oil friendly, or should I say petroleum oil friendly, they eat through this crude oil quality, reducing its quality. Although sometimes they're an advantage, especially if you're producing heavy crude. Production of heavy crude is a serious challenge because you need high pressure, you need extra abilities to drive that crude to the surface. So in such a situation, when you encounter microbes and all that that are petroleum friendly, good for you, because then they will break down those heavy molecules and make the crude lighter and easier for you to produce. But in a situation where you actually want it like that, then it becomes a challenge also, because then you have to either try to solve or kill or cure those microbes way down at the formation, even before production. So yeah, these are other several challenges you can face. And then of course, not to mention the equipment, failure of equipment, they are man-made. No matter how much you do the calculations and expertise, sometimes they are bound to fail, or maybe because they've been used over the years and not properly maintained, they could fail. So failure of equipment is also something else, other challenges people face or professionals face in the petroleum industry while trying to produce this crude. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for that. Absolutely grateful for that. Lots to learn from that. Quickly move on to the third set of questions. I'll start with Miss Bianuchu. What's the, help us with the current nature of things? What's the current trend in the petroleum economics in terms of employment? Because you really would want to know a lot of things as students. You want to know the employment. What's the trend in terms of employment, job security, the job description, the nature of the work, and the salaries as well. That's one. And two, what does the average day for a petroleum economist look like? Is it that flexible? Is it that rigid? And are there countries where if you're a petroleum economist, then it's a hotspot? Are there such countries where we have such things there? Thank you.
All right. So when it comes to the trend as regards job security and employment prospects, it's dicey because here I said initially that for you to excel as a petroleum economist, you have to have some form of petroleum engineering knowledge from over the years, or probably must have been built from experience or from academics, right? So eventually, I rarely see, it's only in rare cases, especially in Nigeria here, where you see a person being employed as a petroleum economics directly. Most times they evolve. You come in as a reservoir engineer and then you progress to a petroleum economics, or you come in as a financial analyst and you evolve to being a petroleum economist. So it's a role you transcend to basically sometimes. So, but in the multinationals, of course, they could easily employ a petroleum economist. But the trend here is this, basically where the world is moving to, like I said before, is a stage where artificial intelligence and machine learning is coming into play for smarter predictions and for forthright analysis. So it's important that anyone, any student, any graduate who tends to who wants to make it in the oil and gas industry as a petroleum economist, you should also be technically savvy. I mean, you should know your work for you, basically. So you should be conversant with most of the petroleum engineering software and tools like Python that could help you create good models. So these are things you should also look into. Another thing that a petroleum economist, another trend in the economist world is the energy mix situation now. So a lot of companies, you see Total Energies from Total Oil and Gas or Total Incorporation to Total Energies, meaning that they are incorporating the energy mix into their scheme. This is not a decision that was made overnight. Of course, they must have employed the knowledge of petroleum economists or energy economists to actually come to this decision to incorporate the energy mix into their company. So this is a trend where it's going to. As a petroleum economist, you should be well versed in renewable energies, like what Patrick was talking about, the solar energy, the wind energy. You should understand its prospects. You should understand the financial implications, whether a company or the company you're working with should invest in it. You should understand the stock market listing. You should understand the bank-related studies and reports, and just get to know a bit of everything around the renewable energy, because the world is going into a phase where it's not all about crude oil anymore. It's not about fossil fuels. So we're bringing in just for cleaner energy, green energy, better energy, more efficient energy. So the trend is in that direction too. And also in the oil and gas industry, I believe that there's a lot of buzz towards training employees in the right market, and right market meaning cleaner source of energy, because of course they've built competence over the years in oil and gas and fossil fuels, and a lot of people or limited people have the knowledge of renewable energies, and that is why schools like Imperial have wiped out core petroleum engineering courses and incorporated renewable energy courses into their system, just to give competence, so that in the coming years we'll have people that are better equipped to actually make decisions or to handle renewable energy situations. So as an economist, you should be versed in this. You should put your sight in that direction. Get a lot of knowledge in your solar energy, wind energy, even hydrogen and the gas energy, so natural gas energy, which is actually becoming a thing now. So as an economist, you should actually look into that direction and see how you can gain and knowledge in that. And also when it comes to the job security as a petroleum economist, trust me, it's one of actually the best industries you want to be in. I fancy it a lot, being a petroleum economics. I fancy it a lot. I see it as you are in a managerial position, basically. So you get to make a lot of decisions using your probably reservoir models and economic analysis. And like I said before, this job is actually needed mostly in exploration and development and production. So that's where you'll be working mainly in. So as a candidate who wants to be ripe for this role, get your economic and financial evaluation right. Learn everything about investment proposals for exploration, for petroleum exploration and exploitation. Also, your oil and gas licenses, the OML, you get better knowledge on them. If it means for you to go for a diploma or a master's education or an undergraduate education for that, then that would be it. But basically, all you need is to stand out, get good knowledge of the oil and gas industry, and also be very interested in monitoring economics and the economics of international, well versed in that line. You want to have something to say when they're talking about international and national oil and gas production. So be well versed in that too. And as regards to salaries, that will be dependent on the company. I don't think I have a right to speak on that right now. So you just do your research. I think that it's rewarding. I know it's rewarding. Of course, there will always be a competitive salary. So I know it's rewarding there. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Put down lots of notes already. Thanks a lot for that. Pretty much did not know that the current trend is such that petroleum economists have no option but to learn about green energy as well. Thanks a lot for that information. I'll move straight to you, Engineer Patrick, and I would ask similar questions as well. What's the global trend in the green energy industry? What is it looking like? I know it's a fairly, is it still, could we still consider it as a developing industry? If that's the case, what's it looking like in terms of employment, job security, the salaries, and a question which is dear to my heart as a petroleum engineering student. I want to find out if it would replace the petroleum industry. Would green energy replace the petroleum industry? And if it would, how soon would it do so? And finally, other countries who are working in the green energy industry is a hotspot. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll give you guys a practical example. So COVID-19 happened. I lost my job in the oil and gas sector. So I transitioned myself from a person working in the oil and gas industry to a green energy enthusiast and champion. All right. So I am able to secure a job for myself within a space. So how did I do it? I will research on the new energies. I don't know, you guys need to connect with our YP chair, that's Miss, so that interesting programs, we parts of Society of Petroleum Engineers section, like we had a YP Young Professional Symposium 2022 with caption theme, the powering into new energies. It was very, very educational, loaded with seminars and presentations from industry thought leaders on energies, all right? And also concluded a program, NICE Pro, that's Nigeria Annual International Conference, and the theme is Global Transition to Renewable and Sustainable Energy and the Future of Oil and Gas in Africa. So what are we saying? It is very big, all right? So you have energy sources like solar, like wind, like hydro, even hydrogen, all right? So imagine you experts, you know, in this field, you know, you like right now, I mean, I'm so busy that I have little time for myself. If I'm not teaching people about new energies, I am doing presentation, I'm going for field work, but meanwhile, I just lost my job, someone working in, you know, right? So the market, every young professional to upscale, come on board, so that sustainable energy solution to end energy poverty. You asked about these hotspots. Have the United States, you have on wind turbine, Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
There's noise from. Okay, please go on now. Okay, I've worked on it now. Sorry for the interruption, Engineer Patrick. Please go on.
Okay. No problems. No problems. So the just concluded now is the Society of Petroleum Engineers International President, Dr. Kamel Ba, he schooled us. All right. So you have working as a project manager, working as analyst, working as high development person, working as a geothermal engineer, job security, or like I said earlier on, the market, we just need to do is from first, we also have this at the back of our mind. I mean, all these resources are given towards
Hello, Engineer Patrick. Okay. I think we lost it. We lost him. Okay. We lost Engineer Patrick. Once back, then you'd move on with the delivery. And so I'll zoom into. Okay, he's back. Great. Engineer Patrick.
I'm so sorry. I lost you guys for a while.
Yes, please. Please go on.
Okay, so a whole lot of countries, I mean, go to Australia, go to Canada. Canada is, investing deep in renewables. USA is investing deep in renewables. The new president, Biden, came on board, and I mean, he wants to actually help, mitigate climate action. So he enacted a couple of laws supporting renewable energy business and investments. Paris, France is there, pushing for the United Nations 17 Sustainable Goal to help combat climate action come 2030 and 2050. So, I mean, we all have a role to play, yes. And you also asked if green energy will replace petroleum industry. As we are going green, we are investing more on low carbon technologies. We are working towards profiling innovative solutions to combat environmental problems. All right. So the idea is actually energy mix. So there is energy crisis. What do we do? We have a backup plan. We have an alternative plan. We have solar to rely on. We have wind to rely on. We have hydrogen. We have biomass. Okay, so we just have to find a way to balance this. If we are flaring, we should do it at a certain temperature that will not affect human health. All right, so this era, you heard Obianuju talking about upscaling, getting knowledge on software development so that you'll be able to work safely, efficiently, and timely. You know, you don't necessarily need to go offshores to solve energy problems. You can sit at the comfort of your house and control what is happening offshore. That is efficiency. Okay, so I mean, in this sustainable energy area or period, all we just need to do is think smart as green entrepreneurs, come through with innovative ideas and solutions to end energy poverty. Whether you are a petroleum engineer or whether you are transitioning, you have a role to play. All you need to do is upscale. With your knowledge as a petroleum engineer, you can work smart as a renewable energy specialist. You know, you can work smart as a petroleum economist because you need this knowledge, you know, you need this petroleum engineering knowledge to balance with the renewable energy knowledge. Okay, so it's not going to replace it anytime soon. Anytime soon. We have oil deep down there to drill. You heard Mrs. Dorcas talk to you about it. So to me, as a green entrepreneur, I am thinking of ways with which we can, you know, harness this energy for it to be affordable, for it to be clean, for it to be sustainable for everybody. All right. So upscale as a petroleum engineer, acquire the petroleum economics knowledge, acquire the software skills so that when we are transitioning like right now, you have a role to play. You already secure yourself a job. Like me, I'm not bothered about going offshores anymore. I just sit here and think of ways to harness my natural energy. You know, I solve my power problems from the comforts, you know, at the comfort of my house. And I also proffer innovative solutions that will help solve energy problems, whether you are offshore. You have Total transitioning to Total Energies. You have Shell, Shell Energies. You have companies in Nigeria and Ghana. You have Seplat changing their name to Seplat Energy. And everybody wants to work in line with Paris agreements to, you know, support that sustainable energy future for everybody. All right. So we have a role to play. We have plenty job opportunities to secure for ourselves. It's just for us to thank. Are we there?
Yes, please, we are.
Okay, so I've wrapped up. Basically, it's just for you to upscale. Upscale, just like Obianuju said, upscale. Software developers, they have a role to play. Petroleum engineers, they have a role to play in this transition energy journey. All right, so, I mean, you have nothing to worry about. Absolutely nothing.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm sure that huge sigh of relief for a lot of petroleum engineering students, such as my good self. Great. Mrs. Dorcas Otisco is not around at the moment, and so I'll move straight to Ms. Obianuju. The fourth set of questions. What is petroleum economics projected to look like in the coming years? We just dealt with the current trend, and we dealt a bit on projection, but I want us to dwell on that for a while. What is it looking like? What is petroleum economics projected to look like in the coming years in terms of job opportunities, the nature of the work environment, and all that, the salaries and all that?
So basically, just like every other profession, there's a prospect, right? Yeah. So in the coming years, of course, this goes without saying. Technology, data is the new oil. Every industry needs data to survive right now. And a lot of things will be much easier if our data can be structured in such a way that it will be easily understood. If our data can work for us, if we can make our data work for us, and data is everywhere and it's the new oil, and if properly harnessed, it's going to change the world. So where is the industry going into? Where is the petroleum economics industry going into? So it's going into the line of data technology, basically. So because most decision makings or most decision makers rely on machine learning. They rely on machine learning to make most of their decisions. And these algorithms are structured, or these models are trained based on the data that is being fed to them. How this data structured, how these data are structured over time, it's very important. So we cannot do without knowing a thing or two about technology, about data, big data, about data science, data analytics. That is where the economics, let me generalize it now. That is where the economic industry is going into. So if you must prepare yourself for that evolution, if you must prepare yourself for that stage, I would advise that you upskill technically. You understand what it means to be a data analyst, because at some point in your career you will need it, and it will help you, it will distinguish you from the others. And many times the organization you work with might have technical experts to build these models, to build these tools, and then all you have to do is use it, which is fine too, but then you should also be tech savvy so that you can be able to use it and relate with whatever it's in it. So we're no longer going by the crude way of making decisions, or even our discounted cash flow, or our whatever models or analysis we've been using in the past. Those are crude now. What we're looking for is speeder, accurate decision-making models, like faster, accurate decision-making models that are very efficient and that works for us. That will cost us less, of course, cost us less, but eventually would actually gain more efficiency.
Hello, Ma. Sorry, is that a wrap from you, please?
To actually look at that aspect.
Okay, sorry.
Also, just get the ability to develop economic models. If you are interested in working as a petroleum economist and have the ability to work with database management system, basically, and have a good understanding too of petroleum engineering in the petroleum engineering industry and its challenges, and then you'll be better positioned for great things in the industry. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for that. Thanks a lot for that. I'm absolutely grateful. I'll move to you, Engineer Patrick, and ask, what's the green energy industry's projected to look like in the coming years? I know you've said a bit on that already. Probably anything you may want to add on that in terms of the employment, skill set, and all that. How are the projections looking like?
Okay, so United Nations gave a mandate that every country, I think it's about 189, global, till 2030 to achieve that net zero goal. Okay, so we are going green, truly. We are going green. So the projection is, come 2030, every company, every country, oil and gas company, be it local, be it international, should work in line with that Paris Agreement, okay, to help reduce greenhouse gas in whatever form, and come 2050, it will get to 100% level. Okay, so the projection it's it's given globally that by 2030 we should produce our energy product, which goes citing the temperature 1.5 to 2.0 degrees Celsius. So to help produce low carbon products. Okay, so the time is near. It's just for us to upscale. It's just for us to come on board and start thinking sustainably. Yes.
Okay. Thanks a lot for that. Thanks a lot for that, sir.
Okay, so well,
so I'd
also in terms,
okay,
sorry.
please go.
Yeah,
Sorry,
in terms of job opportunities, I mean, there are countless employment opportunities in this green energy industry. That's it. To feel that it's a green energy future. Whatever form, whatever industry you are in, be you in transportation industry, be you in commercial, be you in health sector, be you in the business sector, if you are not thinking sustainably, you are out of business. All right? Soon enough, our vehicles should be electric vehicles. Soon enough, all our homes will be fully solar powered or running on green energy. Okay? Whether you are working in the oil and gas, in the petroleum sector, you need to have that green energy mindset to help profile innovative solutions to produce low carbon technology. Okay, so in terms of job opportunities, come on, plenty. We have plenty job opportunities. Then, in terms of salary, like I said, as a green energy person, some folks some folks prefer working offshores, while some prefer working onshore, right? But I guarantee you that as a green energy person, you don't need to go offshore to make money. You can sit at the comfort of your home. You can, work from home. You can work, in your neighborhood, and you'll be harnessing energy for people, utilizing solar or biomass, go to estates, go to marketplaces, utilize waste, and you use it to harness energy. That's biomass engineering. Okay, so I mean, a friend of mine is coming down from Ghana to Nigeria. What is his goal? He wants us to partner and help curb plastic menace. Okay, he cited an instance whereby in Ghana, in Germany, when you now drink, when you are done drinking, you take your plastic bottle back to the company. Are you there? Are you there?
Yes, please, we are.
Okay, sorry. So,
yes, please.
I mean, I'm using Germany as a case study. I forgot to mention them as the #1 company where transitioning is taking place. All right, as in 98% of their energy, their energy is running on renewables. All right, so currently you have citizens of Germany, working in line with Sustainable Development Goal 12, weapon and production. When you are done drinking, utilize using your bottle, you take it back and they give you back your money. So, I mean, the market is big, and you have a whole lot of benefits, you know, as a green energy person, thinking sustainably and profiling innovative solutions to end energy poverty and also help, you know, solve environmental challenges. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for that, Engineer Patrick. So we'll move on to the final set of questions. I would go again with Ms. Obianuchu. So 3-in-1 questions. What are skill sets that's as a student, how would I know if I'm an excellent fit for petroleum economics? And what are the skill sets needed to thrive as a petroleum economist? That's one. So in terms of the skill set of knowing if I'm a fit. The second one would be, after undergraduate students, what's the academic path? I know you spoke about the career path. Usually you start off as a petroleum engineer in some sense, but I want to know what's the career path to become a petroleum economist. That's after undergraduate studies. And finally, sorry, third one is, do you share any career advice for anyone who wants to become a petroleum economist? And any general career advice for students who are on the call? And are there any, since you spoke about upskilling, are there any sites that you recommend for students to be able to take courses that they would appreciate petroleum economics and nurture their interest better? And are there any good channels or publications that we could follow to be able to understand what is happening, or subscribe to understand what is happening in the commercial side of the petroleum industry? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The last question, I'm glad this is the last question. So I will try to reach into my own experiences to answer this. So I've always knew I was drawn to petroleum economics. Why? It's not because I just loved the economical part when back in high school, I don't know what you guys call it in Ghana, secondary school, I did economics and I actually loved it a lot. I excelled at it a lot. And it was one thing that I could do flawlessly. Of course, as a science student, yes, you're good at your sciences, your physics, your maths, your chemistry. But then one subject I excelled at flawlessly, even without having to do so much reading. It was almost natural for me, was economics. And I realized that it was, because unfortunately or fortunately, I went a different route based on advice for engineering, which is something that I'll actually cherish, an advice I'll cherish for a long time. Because then after some while in the university, I started trying to diversify, because as a petroleum engineer, at a point, you get to diversify to where you want to actually work. Do you want to be a reservoir engineer? Do you want to be a drilling engineer? Do you want to be a production engineer? So you, at some point in your career or in your education, if you've not come to that, you'll have to pick a side, because it's not all petroleum engineer. Because the petroleum engineering is a very vast industry for you to do everything. So you have to specialize in one place. And when I got to that point, or that crossroad where I had to specialize, I came down to reservoir engineer, drilling engineering, and production engineer, and I saw all those stuff. That was like the only one. And then I remember reading through a site, and I saw that there was something called the petroleum economics. And I mean, that was the turning point for me. I was so glad. I was like, wow, there's something like this. So I can actually channel my skill. Me being that I love the whole cash flow balance sheet over there back then in secondary school. I loved the business part, being integral in the business part of the company. I can actually channel this now into the oil and gas industry. I can be this in the oil and gas industry. And of course, that's what you call a petroleum economics. Actually, being an economics in the oil and gas industry, it's a petroleum economics. So it was a very good moment for me. So I started following that career very passionately and going down that route. So how did you know as a student? Basically, you have to love it. You have to love it. You have to be interested. Okay, it's not just all about the money or getting to work in the oil and gas industry. And for some people, it's all about. I've met some of my colleagues that were like, okay, it's the only non-technical part, or not. Okay, it's technical, but it doesn't involve a lot of maths. It doesn't involve a lot of physics. You don't have to calculate all the whole reservoir evaluation calculations, the whole. So it was less easy for some of my colleagues, but for me, it was something that it was both. It's technical, of course, but it's something that I could relate to it easily, and it's something I love to do, getting involved in the economic and in the business part of our industry. So if you have that passion, if you see that it's something you love to do, then probably that is the right career for you. Also, like I said, you have to be technically savvy. It's impossible, like I use the word impossible, because then you might get to a certain height, but you will not go very far if you're not interested in technical aspects of the journey of being an economist. You have to be savvy, especially with your computers. You have to learn basic programming, the very basic ones. Because like I said before, you may not necessarily have to build a model. Your organization would have specialists, technicians that build these models, and all you have to do is implement it, use it, fill it with data, right? But then to be important, or to put you on a good spot if you actually know them. So this is one of the things if you actually technical savvy, then you can actually dwell and excel in this industry. And I think that is the basic thing. Let it be part of you. Let it be something that you really want to do. Be economically savvy too. Okay, be interested, like I said before, be interested in the economics of the oil and gas industry. It's very vast. You have fiscal terms, fiscal policies, you have licensing terms. Get to know all these things now and see if that's what you would like to do. And basically, all this will help you in knowing where you fit. I mean, hotspots, because I didn't answer that. Technical hotspots like China, UK, USA, Japan, they're looking for people that can excel technically and business wise. That is one where the world is going into, if I didn't mention that earlier. As much as you want to be a business person, an economic person, you want to be involved in the business part of an organization, you should also be technically savvy. You should also understand, so that if you're talking technical terms, the other person can understand you, right? So that is where countries like China, Japan, UK, US, they are going into now. So you see, that's why you see words like strategy analyst. Why don't they just employ strategy engineers? Why analysts? Because at some point you have to do some analysis, right? And for you to do analysis, you need data, right? And for you to, where are you going to feed the data? You're feeding it into a tool, into a program. Then, so you need to be technically savvy. I think that's what I would be advocating for, because as young people, I mean, that's where the world is going into. And if you're not going down that line, be quite difficult. There are different sites where you can learn as much as you want. I mean, the educational resources online are limitless, and it's going to be very sad that you don't get to utilize at least one of them to add value to your life. I've never actually gone to any school to study petroleum economics, but based on experience and then from personal learning, I spend a lot of time downloading books, visiting different sites to take courses. I've taken a lot of courses. And then all this has actually helped me to actually build this knowledge in petroleum economics. And while I'm not yet an economist yet, I'm working towards it, right? So it's a work in progress, and it's something that you have to continually build yourself towards. You have to continually educate yourself on. So utilize sites like Udemy, EDX, Udacity, Coursera, And over the week, I was looking at LinkedIn Learning, and I found out that there are a lot of courses there that a lot of us don't actually leverage on. So let's try LinkedIn Learning, and then you can get learn things like renewables, because um, I know a lot of us are wondering, okay, since we're studying petroleum engineering, sorry, Patrick, I'd like to chip something in on that. Since we're studying petroleum engineering, what is there any hope for us if this renewable or clean energy actually comes to play? Yes. In fact, say for example, gas engineering or natural gas. Natural gas is a clean energy. And the only issue we have with natural gas, the prevalent issue, is storage and then the funding. Now, if those are taken care of, would you think would be in a better position to actually, manage gas facilities? It's still the petroleum engineers, because at some point they teach you about the hydrocarbons, the C2, the C4, methane, ethane, propane, octane, natural gas, liquefied natural gas, liquefied petroleum gas. You're still the one that's better equipped to handle that. And let's talk about geothermal energy. Geothermal energy, the energy from the earth core, that is petroleum engineer, because at some point in your career, you go through geology where you understand that it's possible to get the image, 3D image of the subsurface. And then how do you do geothermal energy without tapping into that knowledge? And then you are the one that still stands a better chance of being employed. So petroleum engineers are not going to be phased out in a very, very, very long time. Okay, so the only advice I would advise, and even my colleagues are advising, is try to upskill, try to be ahead in terms of education. Keep learning, keep pushing yourself every day, and then you'll do great, I assure you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for that, Ms. Obianuchi. That's very insightful. I'll move straight to you, Engineer Patrick, and afterwards we would have the audience participants ask a question or two. So I want to know, Engineer Patrick, what are the skill sets that are needed to thrive in the green energy industry? I get a sense that innovation will be one of them based on what you've said. And two, I want to know, after graduate studies, what's the academic path to be able to work in the green energy industry? Then any career advice for anyone who wants to work in the green energy industry here, and general career advice. And also ask the question about the sites where you could recommend where we could learn a lot about green energy, and sites where we could be able to follow, maybe publications, weekly publications that we could learn about what is happening in the green energy industry. Thank you.
So the number one skill set you need to acquire or you need to have is, you need to be a creative thinker, all right? Because, sorry, excuse me, because you need to think out of the box, all right? We are suffering from, infrastructural deficits, all right? To actually help produce this green energy, right? So unlike the oil and gas industry, where we have, this structure already existing, okay, all we just need to do is work with the likes of Mrs. Dorcas, who is a drilling specialist, and we produce oil, all right? So in Africa, we don't have the structure yet. Is some of the challenges we have right now transitioning. So how do we actually have set up a solid wind turbine system offshore? How do we set up a good floating solar floating system offshore? How do we set up a biomass system offshore? Okay, how do we achieve all of that? So sometime earlier this year, I participated in an IDT sustainability challenge where SPE young professionals worked together to develop a project. So I happened to work with one Matthew from Germany. So he came up with this innovative project idea on blue hydrogen. So he was sharing this idea on how we can actually use biomass to harness energy offshore. Sincerely, I had to open my mouth and my ears. I was just lost. Like, so something like this is already existing, and I mean, we are still struggling with installing solar at home in Africa. You know, you try to convince people to, you know, have a solar system running from them at home. Okay, so where am I going to? The question you asked is a career advice, all right, for anyone who wants to work in the green energy industry. You have to know how to think out of the box. You have to be innovative. You have to be creative. You have to be a problem solver, and you also have to, you know, connect with team members that, you know, share that vision, because you can't do it alone. Together, each achieve more. Okay, so here I work as a solar system engineer. All right, so I make a difference by constructing a structure, you know, on top of the roof when I am actually installing my solar. Why am I doing this? I need to get a good tilt, a 45 degrees tilt that will help me to achieve, you know, maximum efficiency when once there is sunlight in the morning. All right, you tilt this angle or this panel in such a way that once there is sunlight, it hits the panel, and you start harvesting energy. You know, that is creative thinking. But there are persons here, once when you Google, you know, works done on solar, you see them lying the panels right on top of the roof without considering the details, you know, without considering the solar radiation. Okay, so basically creative thinking, need to research. I mean, with that, you are good to go. Yeah, for online sites, you need to, apart from going to online sites, you need to read articles. I don't joke with, you know, articles from IEA, International Energy Agency. So once they drop their article, I'm reading it. I also have this website, Sustainable Energy for All. I make sure that every day I go to their website. Okay. So you have Coursera, you have Udemy as a school. Okay, go to LinkedIn, check what Shell is doing, check what Total Energy is doing. They give you role of what's happening in the green energy. I advise that you subscribe to links that are transitioning with speed. So that's basically it. So for you to be ahead of the game in this green energy journey, like Obianuju have said, upscale. And I learned that every engineer, whether you are an engineer or not, you have a role to play, you know, in this green energy space. I mean, we talked about being a green entrepreneur. What sector you can find yourself in, you can find yourself as a petroleum engineer also giving consulting for companies who are transitioning, you know, because you already have that knowledge, you know, as a petroleum engineer. You can be consulted. You know, people are migrating from offshore business to onshore business. Okay, so you can be consulted. Come and share your technical idea on how to solve energy problems. So bottom line is you need to read, research, go to these websites, read articles, go to LinkedIn, follow up with industry thought leader ideas, and trust me, will fit into this transitioning journey with by me and my team. Are we good?
Absolutely, sir. We are. Is that a wrap from you, please?
Yes, that's it. That's the wrap. We're still here for questions.
Great. Thanks a lot for that, Engineer Patrick. I get a sense that you need a lot of technical information in terms of the technological information, IT skills, and you also have to be creative, innovative. That seems to be the words that we'll be getting a lot over the next few years. And so at this juncture, I would ask the participants, so if you do have a question, you kindly raise your hands and I would actually ask you a question. We'll take about 2 questions because of time. I kindly plead with the panelists if we could have an extension of about 5 minutes to take about 2 questions. So if you have, Patrick, have your permission, please.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, I'm trying to seek an extension of the time, about 5 to 10 minutes, so we could take about 2 questions.
Oh, that's all right.
Hey, you have my blessing. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Engineer Patrick, as well. All right, so so let's do it this way. 1 to Mr. Bianuchu, 1 to Engineer Patrick. If there are anyone? I think Elijah had a question. So Elijah, if you could ask your question, or I could read that out for you. Okay, no problem. Let me simply read it because of time. So that this I would guess would be directed to you, Engineer Patrick. He says he wants to know what exactly is being done towards the net zero goal, and which green energy sources are being pursued, and how they are going about it. Please, is the question clear?
Yeah, it's very clear.
Great.
You have Total Energies working hard to achieve that net zero goal by utilizing 90% renewables, all right? Utilizing solar and also wind. Just type Total Energies on LinkedIn, you see what they are up to. They have partnered with a whole lot of companies. Like in Nigeria here, they are partnered with Sun King, producing solar lamps, producing solar fans, producing solar fridge, just to ensure that they help meet that net zero goal. Okay, so but this net zero goal of a thing is just all about utilizing low carbon technologies that would produce carbon free, that will help us achieve that carbon free, to also help reduce greenhouse gas, because these greenhouse gases, they are the reason why we are having this climate action issue. Okay, I'll use my country as an instance, right? I'm currently in Port Harcourt, and what we are suffering from right here is black soot, because of gas flaring, trying to produce energy that we use on a daily basis. Now you produce it in an environmentally unfriendly way, which kill not just human beings, but also plants and animals that are supposed to help us to, live sustainably. Okay, so you also have shell, you also have BP, all these top IOCs are transitioning, and I mean, they are working around solar, they are working around wind, and they are working around biomass. So we need to do gently upscale and connect with industries that are thinking towards that direction. Otherwise, you will be left behind. Okay, so Paris Agreement also enacted that law that we have to go green, right? To help combat climate action, to help in this energy crisis period, to help transition smoothly by producing products that are clean, affordable, and sustainable. Okay, so I don't know where the person who asked that question is at. I don't know her location, but I am still sure that there are a whole lot of companies in your vicinity or in your country that are transitioning, because that is the way forward. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for that, Senior Patrick. I'm sure that addresses your question, Elijah. Is there any other question? Anyone has any question for the panelists?
Please feel free to ask your questions. Feel free.
Please feel free. Okay, Samson. Yes. Samson, please go on.
Sure. Thanks much. I'm actually loving the presentations and contributions that have been shared here. And my question is there a feasibility of running electrochemical cells on the sea? As we know, the sea has a lot of salty content to run or to generate energy. Yes, that's a question that I have. And how economically feasible and technically successful would that be? Thank you.
Okay, so I think that is in line with hydrogen. All right, it is very feasible, but at the moment, research is still ongoing to help, generate clean energy utilizing hydrogen. It is very, very feasible. But right now, what is trending is the likes of biomass and wind and solar, right? So for hydrogen, you have, sources of hydrogen like electrolysis of water, steam methane reformation, because it's in the sea, you have byproduct from chlorine production, a whole lot. It's colorless, it's flameless, it's odorless, it's tasteless, it's lightest and most abundant element in the universe, because 75%, has it's the percentage is about 75%. All right. So for feasibility, it is very, very feasible, and it is an enabler of cheap renewables. Okay, so hydrogen has energy storage potential and could be crucial to overcoming intermittency limitation of renewable energy. But like I said, studies and research is still ongoing. I cannot say that, this particular company, the company that I know that are working hard towards that direction is ExxonMobil, all right? But it's still on research and development stage. So for someone who asked, or for the question you asked earlier on about the employment opportunities in the green energy space. Like I said, imagine you going into this, as a research and development student, coming through with innovative ideas that will help application of hydrogen as an energy source. I mean, you'll be sought out for as a student before you are even done self. You've gotten a job because God, you'll be a hot cake. Okay, so my fellow professional, or my listener, I encourage you to research. Me myself, I'm also researching on it, but for now I'm still a subject matter expert, or working towards becoming a subject matter expert in solar, wind, and biomass. Okay.
Yes, please. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot for that. Great. Probably we'll take one more question. Anyone? Any questions, anyone? Or out. Simply put a question across to Miss Obianuchu. I would want to find out. I think we missed that part out in terms of the articles that we could be reading. Engineer Patrick spoke about the IEA articles from the IEA and SE for All. Are there similar such authorities that you would recommend for petroleum economics? And also in terms of the career, as someone who's still with petroleum engineering, would you recommend that the person quickly just moves into maybe in terms of career, right, academic pursuits? What should they do in terms of the transition? Should they simply just take their time, learn the technical side, and later they move into petroleum economics? Or there's a way out? There are some graduate degrees that you could take in that. I hope my question is clear, Mr. Obianuju.
Oh, sorry. Can I be
Did you get my
heard?
question?
Yeah, I got
Yes,
it.
please.
Sorry,
You're
I
loud
was
and clear.
speaking, not knowing
Okay.
the mic was muted. Okay. So to your question about articles, sorry I missed that. I read a lot of ResearchGate because they have a lot of good articles on topics relating to petroleum economics. So I will advise that you leverage that. So ResearchGate has a lot of articles in store. We have Science Direct, and we have SPE journals that are available to us through SPE. As long as you're a registered member of SPE, you have access to those journals. And you can just look up topics that interest you in petroleum economics. And you see a lot of papers that have been written in that regard. So I would recommend, my first recommendation will be ResearchGate and then Science Direct for those articles, because they have good publications, very forward-thinking publications. And also to your second question about how to transition smoothly. So if you remember when I made mention of the different careers you can have in line with petroleum economics. So I did not, what I meant at the time is that it doesn't necessarily mean that if you're a petroleum engineer, then you transition into a petroleum economist, and once you're a petroleum economist, you can have any of these careers. No, I mean that even as a petroleum engineer, you can be an economist. So if you're an economist, you can also be called a petroleum economist, and you can function in that line. And also, if you're a petroleum engineer, or if you're interested, not just a petroleum engineer, if you're studying any form of engineering, and you can easily transition to commercial analyst, and you find yourself in that line. You can be a project manager. I was once a project coordinator. So I found myself it's a very integrated industry, okay? It's not isolated in any way. So one profession commingles with the other. So you just have to find a place where you have to work in and you have to fit in. So even if you're a strategy analyst, you're an oil and gas associate, if you're an energy consultant, if you're a business analyst, you find yourself one way or the other in the petroleum economics industry. And if you want to be fully a petroleum economist, then I would advise personally that you take your time and transition from school, because it's going to be difficult, honestly, to see a publication or a hire that says petroleum economics. Although I've seen, but it's very rare that you see petroleum economics hiring. So it's rare. So probably you pick a part. You can pick, like, now I'm a directional driller with Baker Hughes. So that's my part. So if you can pick a part, and at some point in your career, when you rise to the managerial role, you find that you automatically have to be an economist, because when a manager is an economist, you have to make economical decisions, and you can't do that just without having the knowledge or the skill or that innovative knowledge and skill to do that, or even the technical skill to do that. So then once you rise to that managerial role, you find yourself being a petroleum economist, making economic decisions. And if you want to go directly into it, then I'll advise you go for a master's, get the knowledge, and then pursue your experience afterwards. I hope that is clear enough, or that answers your question.
Absolutely. That addresses the question in its entirety. On that note, we would say would be through with today's session. We're absolutely grateful for the time and everything. So for Ms. Obianuju and Engineer Patrick, we are grateful that you made time to join us at Student Energy KNUST. We want to find out if there are any contact details you may want to share with us. If people want to reach out to you to keep the conversation going, probably LinkedIn account or something, how we could reach out to you.
All right. So for me, the easiest place you reach out to me is on LinkedIn, because I'm quite active on LinkedIn. So it's the name Obianuju Isucheli. Just type it and send me, try to follow me, and I'll see you. And then you can engage me in a conversation, and of course I'll reply. So that would be the easiest place to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Engineer Patrick, please, how do we contact you?
Oh, okay. I'm on LinkedIn. Patrick Chidozie Ezenachi is my name on LinkedIn, and I am also as active as Obianuju. Patrick Chidozie Ezenachi. Just send a message and
Thank you.
yes, good.
Thanks a lot for that, Fanny. We're grateful. And again, we want to say a big thank you to everyone that made time to join us. The session is recorded, and so we'll definitely share the on-demand version with those that everyone that registered will share it with you. You could also reach out to us if you wanted. We learned a lot, and it's timely knowledge. It's timely knowledge for a timeless period. We're grateful again for the time, the panelists. We're absolutely thankful to you that you made time to join, and for all the registrants, all the participants that joined in. It was great. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's talk energy. It's great to keep talking energy. And yes, so I'll just in 30 seconds speak about Student Energy KNUST. We are a student-led group on Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology who are interested in helping the youth to be front runners in the world's energy sector. We share that vision, and this is one of the ways in which we do so. You could reach out to us and follow us on LinkedIn, and we keep the conversation going as well over there. We're very active on LinkedIn too. On that note, we want to say thank you and say a very big thank you to everyone that joined again, and say goodbye to everyone. Hopefully we get to do Let's Talk Energy some other time, another series. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.